I, 29-year-old female, come from a big ski family, particularly on my mom's 57-year-old female side. I was on skis by the time I could walk and participated on a ski team downhill racing while growing up. It was a huge part of my childhood, and I spent every winter weekend for years of my life going up to the mountains and skiing. My mom is still an incredibly avid skier, spending half the year living in a ski town, and she would ski every day if it were up to her. I, however, have grown out of the sport somewhat. As someone who was essentially forced to do it, I lost a lot of love for it, and I only want to go if the mood really strikes me. Also, I don't have a pass or my own skis and poles, since gear is really expensive, and it's at least an hour or more with traffic to get to the nearest ski area. My husband, 37-year-old male, is originally from Texas, so he always wanted to learn how to ski and snowboard. We did get him snowboarding lessons, which he ended up not loving. And then last year, my mother actually taught him how to ski, which was really nice of her. And we ended up going up twice. He liked learning, but also isn't a huge fan of the time and money and having to spend time with my mother commitment. She knows we don't have gear or passes, and she knows that we don't really act excited when she mentions coming skiing. I haven't had a pass in years, and she always wants us to come ski. Well, this year for Christmas, we asked for experiences, or food rather than gifts. Some of the examples we gave people were restaurant gift cards, movie gift cards, home-baked goods, wine, etc. I should have expected this, but she offered to pay for a day of rentals and skiing for us. I know this sounds like a generous gift, and it is from the outside, but it comes with strings. I'm going to sound like an ungrateful, spoiled child, but my mom is really hard to spend any amount of time with. We hadn't planned on going skiing at all, and now we have to go or we look ungrateful. She also wants to ski with us, and it is really hard spending a lot of time with her, since she doesn't realize that she says a lot of rude and offensive things. She always makes comments about weight and eating healthy, and constantly body shames people. It's also always a competition with her to ski as many possible runs in a day, and double blacks, the hardest ones for all of them. I am way more of a laid-back skier now, and I like good weather skiing with as many lodge and hot cocoa breaks as I feel like. We finally agreed to go up this weekend, and of course a huge snowstorm hit yesterday. Great for snowy ski areas, but it also means that the road going up to the mountains will be terrible, and it's already bad because of ski traffic anyway, since it's really the only way to get up there from the city. So now we have to go spend our Friday night getting the rental equipment, then wake up at the crack of dawn to sit in traffic on an icy road to go do something we don't really want to do with someone who will be really intense about it. My issue is that both my husband and I really don't want to go, but we feel like at this point it's so hard to say no. Since A, this was a gift, and B, we already reserved the rental. I'm not sure if she had already paid for it, but I know she gets discounts or free stuff for volunteering with the ski area. I know I will get a ton of flack if I just say we don't want to go, but I also feel bad lying and saying we are sick, hurt, or some other excuse. I know I should just tell her we don't really like skiing, but she makes it her whole identity, and it's like she will be personally offended by us not wanting to go do the thing that she likes. It would be different if she just gave us a coupon or something to use on our own. But she has to be involved making the reservation and going with us. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. Any advice is much appreciated. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. As someone who has also experienced difficult parental relationships, I just want you to know that I understand how hard it is. I wish I had an answer or insight into a solution. I know logically the solution is supposed to be having open and honest dialogue about your feelings in order to give any chance to the relationship improving, but sometimes people just aren't receptive. Sadly, when that is the case, conversations can do more harm than good to the relationship. I'm sorry. Comment 2. I don't think you could ever actually say this to her, but just quietly to yourself, say, "Mom, that present for me was really a present for you. And I already gave you a present for Christmas." Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around. So we went skiing, and let me tell you, it was a mess from the get-go. My husband and I, we're not morning people, but there we were up before the sun, shivering in the cold, waiting for my mom. She showed up late, coffee in hand, no apology, just a brisk, "Let's get moving." The drive up was tense, the roads were icy, and traffic was a nightmare. My mom kept making these passive-aggressive comments about how we could have been ahead of the traffic if we'd left earlier. I bit my tongue, trying not to snap back. We finally got to the ski area, and the day was, well, it was exactly as I'd feared. My mom was relentless, pushing us to do run after run with no breaks. My husband, bless him, he tried to keep up, but I could see he was miserable. And then she started in on him, criticizing his technique, his speed, everything. It was humiliating, and I could see the shame on his face. Lunchtime was no better. We sat down to eat, and she immediately started in on our food choices, making snide remarks about carbs and calories. I was fuming, and my husband was just shutting down. But here's where it all came to a head. After lunch, we were back on the slopes, and my mom decided to show off, taking us to a run that was way beyond our comfort zone. My husband fell, and he really took a tumble. He was okay, but shaken up. That's when I lost it. I told her off, right there on the mountain, told her she was being reckless and inconsiderate, and that we were done. She tried to argue, but I wasn't having it. We skied down to the lodge, returned our rentals, and I told her we were leaving. She was furious, said we were ruining her day, but I didn't care. I was so done. We drove home in silence, my husband and I. It was awkward, but there was also this sense of relief, like we'd finally stood up for ourselves. We decided then and there, no more skiing, no more bending over backward to please my mom. It was a tough decision, but it felt right. And then, just when I thought we could breathe again, my mom called. She was livid, said we'd embarrassed her in front of her friends at the ski area. She demanded an apology, but I stood my ground. I told her we needed space, that her behavior was unacceptable, and that we wouldn't be joining her for any more ski trips. It was a hard conversation, but it needed to happen. My husband and I, we're on the same page now. We're going to focus on doing things we enjoy without the pressure and the negativity. It's not going to be easy, dealing with the fallout, but I feel like a weight has been lifted. Thanks for reading. My partner uses my hard-earned money and demands my car. But when she threatens to leave, I show her who really pays the bills and cancel her job interview. I, age 46, have been with and living with my partner, age 43, for about 6 years. I am our family's sole financial provider. Before living with her, I got used to living alone and enjoyed things such as things being where I left them and things not getting broken. In the last year and a half, her daughter and 2 dogs have also come to live with us. It's mostly great. I get to be a dad to an amazing, energetic 8-year-old girl and a pet parent to 2 weird, funny dogs. However, this isn't without its challenges. She has the habit of moving things and forgetting she's done it, but then also seems to get mad when I ask her where things are. Also, having dogs and a kid at home too means that stuff gets broken, damaged, or misplaced much more often than before. This is hard for me, but I'm a 1,000,000% better at being chill, accepting, and solution-focused about this stuff than I was a couple of years ago. This morning, we were going to take her truck up the mountain to go skiing, and we had planned to do so all week. Last night, she told me that she couldn't come skiing because some of her equipment needed to be replaced. I said, no problem, but I'd still like to use her truck to go up the mountain. She agreed, but then asked to use my car. I didn't feel great about this idea, as my car feels like the one area of my home life that I still have control over. I told her that I wasn't comfortable with it, and she dropped it. However, she seemed kind of upset the whole morning before I left. Before leaving, I tried to talk to her. No go. I tried to give her a hug. No go. And also suggested moving my schedule around so that she could still come skiing today. She wasn't interested and said she needed time to digest. I get it. No problem. Here's the thing. In the past, she's argued with me about eating in my home office. I don't eat there and asked her not to. And she said that I can't ask her not to because I've eaten in my office before. She also got annoyed at me for feeling uncomfortable with eating there. This is actually just an example of something that has happened more than a few times with us. I would even call it a pattern. I think I just can't bear the thought of something happening to the car and having a repeat of food office gate, where she tells me I shouldn't be upset because it's not her fault and that I'm being unreasonable with her. When I came home later that day, I asked her how she was and if she'd been able to digest her feelings, and she told me that she was working on it. I said that I thought she seemed angry this morning, and she said that she wasn't angry, she was sad. I asked her why she felt sad, and she said that it was because after so many years, I didn't want to let her drive my car, and that she didn't want to discuss it any further right now. Has anyone else been in a situation like this? Am I being too uptight about my car? Has anyone been in her shoes able to explain why she's so upset? Now, for a few comments before the update. Well, actually, this post didn't have any comments. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for more of what's been going on. So, after the whole car situation, things got a bit more tense around the house. I mean, I thought we'd moved past it, but it's like there's this cloud hanging over us now. She's been quieter than usual, and I can't help but feel like I'm walking on eggshells, you know? It's not like I don't get why she's upset, but at the same time, it's my car, and I feel like I should have a say in who drives it. Anyway, the next day, I found out that her daughter's school is having this big project, and they need volunteers. I thought, hey, this could be a good way to smooth things over, so I offered to help out. But when I told her, she just gave me this look, like she was surprised or something. I guess I haven't been the most involved in the past, but I'm trying to change that, so I'm at the school, helping out with this project, and I'm actually having a good time. The kids are great, and it feels nice to be part of the community. But then, I get this call from her, and she's frantic because one of the dogs got into some chocolate, and she's rushing him to the vet. I drop everything and meet her there, and thankfully the dog's going to be okay. But the vet bill is steep, and I can see the stress on her face when she sees the amount. We get home, and I'm thinking about how to handle the vet bill when she tells me she's got something to tell me. Turns out, she's been feeling really overwhelmed with everything, her daughter, the dogs, the house, and she's been looking for a job to help out with the finances. I had no idea she was feeling this way, and I guess I've been so wrapped up in my own stuff that I didn't see it. The next day, she's got an interview lined up, and she's all nervous. I tell her she's going to do great, and I really believe it. She's smart and capable, and any place would be lucky to have her. But then, she drops this bomb on me. She's thinking about moving out if she gets the job. She says she needs some space to figure things out, and I'm just floored. I mean, I knew we had issues, but I didn't think it was this bad. I spend the rest of the day just trying to process everything. I'm worried about what this means for us, for her daughter, for the life we've built together. And I can't help but feel like this is all my fault. Like, if I just let her drive my car, none of this would be happening. But then she comes back from the interview and she's got this look on her face. She got the job and she's ecstatic. And for a moment, it's like all the tension between us just melts away. We're laughing and hugging, and it feels like maybe we can get through this after all. That night, we sit down and have a real heart-to-heart. She tells me she doesn't really want to move out, but she felt like she needed to do something drastic to get my attention. And I get it, I really do. I've been so set in my ways, so focused on keeping things the way I like them, that I didn't see how it was affecting her. We decided to make some changes, to work on communicating better and being more understanding of each other's needs. It's not going to be easy, but I'm committed to making this work, and I think she is too. So that's where we're at right now. It's been pretty up and down of a few days, but I'm hopeful for the future. Thanks for reading. My boyfriend hid his job loss from me for weeks. So I learned to speak my mind and made him wish he'd never messed with a woman on a mission for honesty. Key points. 1. We have been together for about a year. 2. We both love each other more than anything in the world, and there is no big or urgent problem eating away at the core of our relationship. He always seems to be happy, and I am too. 3. He is the most chill and serene personality I've seen. I am less so, but not someone you would classify as a temperamental friend or even daughter. My parents always talk about how I have never been a tantrum child. 4. However, with him, I have noticed that I turn into a very different person. I expect a lot of emotional sensitivity from him that I don't from anyone else. He tells me that I am a very kind and sensitive person myself, and thus it is fair for me to. But I think this goes into the problematic territory sometimes. I feel upset about tiny sentences and phrases for hours on end, when I know that he doesn't think too much when he says things, is ultra unfiltered with me, and just doesn't mean any harm. 5. To add to how bad I get, I will just not talk about what I am feeling. He always has to mine it out of me by asking me multiple times. It has never seemed like he is getting annoyed. Thank God he is patient. But that is no excuse. 6. I have tried to acknowledge these things and change them, for starters, by instantly communicating what I feel, instead of silently holding it all inside and sucking, but I can just not bring myself to do it. It feels like something extremely courageous, extremely uncomfortable. 7. My mom is the biggest tantrum queen I have seen, was never apologetic, and I have seen my dad spend days trying to assuage whatever it is she is feeling, sometimes up to 3 days. I always hated that, and yet I am scared that I am turning into my mom now. 8. I love this man to death, and currently he has been so utterly understanding that he says that him having to deal with my tantrums and lack of expression in that moment is not frustrating him. However, I truly want to spend my life with him and cannot afford the risk of losing him at any point. I am scared that if I continue to be this way, someday, the reality and frustration of what he is having to go through will dawn on him, and some resentment will start setting in. I cannot bear to run the risk of that at all. I want to be better for him right now. Question 1. How can I make myself less temperamental in his context, without losing the close connection we have, without losing my ability to be vulnerable in front of him, and truly feel what I am feeling to the fullest? Question 2. How do I make expressing my negative emotions easier on myself, without sulking around and waiting for him to notice and mine it all out of me? This was a very long post, and I love and appreciate you if you got till the end, even if you don't comment. Thank you now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Oh dear, you really did not deserve that, after all you've been put through. I am sorry you had to go through that. Now, for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. So, a lot has happened this week. Remember how I said my boyfriend is super chill? Well, turns out he's been keeping a secret from me. He's been laid off from his job, and he didn't tell me for a whole month. He was pretending to go to work every day, and I had no idea. I found out when I decided to surprise him with lunch at his office. When I got there, his coworker told me he hadn't been working there for weeks. I felt so betrayed. Why wouldn't he tell me something that big? I always thought we were open with each other. When I confronted him, he said he didn't want to worry me. He was looking for a new job and was sure he'd find one soon. But that's not the point. The point is he lied, and it made me think, what else could he be hiding? I was so mad, but I didn't say anything. I just let it slide, like I always do. I'm starting to feel like a doormat. He apologized, and I just nodded and told him it was okay. But it's not okay. I'm tired of being walked all over. Then, my mom called. She and my dad were having another one of their fights. She was throwing a tantrum because my dad forgot their anniversary. I listened to her complain for an hour. It was exhausting. I see so much of her in me, and it scares me. I don't want to be like that with my boyfriend. I've been trying to be less temperamental, like I said I would. But it's hard. I get upset over the smallest things, and I can't seem to stop myself. I don't want to lose my boyfriend over this. He's been so patient, but everyone has their limits. So I've made a decision. I'm going to start therapy. I need to figure out how to express my emotions without sulking or expecting him to read my mind. I need to learn how to communicate better. It's going to be tough, but I have to do it. For him and for me. And then just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, my boyfriend's ex showed up. She's back in town and wants to meet him for coffee. He told me right away, which I guess is a good sign. But I can't help feeling jealous. What if he still has feelings for her? He asked me if I was okay with it, and I said yes. But I'm not okay with it. Not at all. I don't want him to see her. But I don't want to be that controlling girlfriend who tells her boyfriend who he can and can't see. I'm at a crossroads. I need to trust him, but it's hard. especially after the whole job thing. I feel like I'm constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's exhausting. So that's where I'm at, trying to be less temperamental, starting therapy, dealing with my boyfriend's ex, and trying to trust him again. It's a lot, but I'm determined to get through it. I love him and I want to make this work. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.